It's not everyone's cup of tea to consume an entire podcast. That's why, welcome to the Ranveer Show's highlights channel, DRS Clips. Subscribe and hit that bell icon. How should one look at legacy? Because that's the big question in my head. Legacy as a concept, what is that for you? Because we had a Sikh spiritual leader, Satpal Bhai of Nanak Nam, and he said that spiritual growth is all about egoless service. So that was the outcome of that podcast for me. And that really got me questioning about my own legacy. That why am I putting so much pressure on myself about legacy? Because therefore I'm putting pressure on myself about my own ego. So what's your take on legacy generally as a concept also?
My take on is very simple. I've not done anything for legacy. I have only worked one day at a time, to be honest to what I was before, conscientiously doing my duty. And give it my all, not my best. Give it my all. Now, if that leaves a legacy, so be it. But I have not ever performed any duty. I've documented this book. My Puducherry work, I've documented not for legacy, but to do justice to the collaborative teamwork which we could achieve. It is to do justice. Otherwise, who will tell you the story? So it's not a legacy. It's who will tell you the story. If I don't tell you, then who will tell you the story? I didn't want to die with that story in myself. I wanted to live it. So it's beyond me, the story will live. So that Puducherry can always have, this is the way we can turn things around. If public servants do their duty honestly, if politicians deliver for what they've been voted for, India will never suffer good governance. It will always have good governance. It will never suffer wrong people. If they all, that's what I've written in the book, is what are the key things? What have I said in the legacy? If you say legacy, what is it that I'm trying to promote through the book? Be visible. Officers, politicians, be visible. Be true to what you've been voted for or you've been appointed for. So I've been looking for appointed and the voted. Appointed and nominated or elected. Appointed and elected, what are your responsibilities? You may have your needs, but don't forget the reason for which you've been appointed and elected. Once you do not forget the purpose of it, whatever your other needs are, the government, the Indian people will never suffer bad governance. They'll never ever suffer. They will always have good governance. The money which is budgeted for them will always remain for the common man for which it is meant and not get diverted. Today, the money has been protected a lot from getting diverted thanks to direct bank transfers. And I had a lot of opposition to implement direct bank transfers because contractors were very, very tempting, right? Or the other areas where there were a lot of leakages which have been saved. So I would say I've never worked for a legacy. I've been only looking at one day at a time to do justice to what I've come for and also to see a sense of self-fulfillment for myself because I owe to myself what have I grown up for if I'm not going to deliver and succeed. So I want to succeed so that everybody wants to succeed. I believe in empowerment. I gave a T mantra when I took the oath of office. The T mantra was trusting, empowering, and accountability. I said, I trust you, you trust me. I empower you, you are empowered, feel empowered. And third is, I shall remain accountable. As people, you remain accountable to the rule of law. When I said it, first time a speech was made by Lieutenant Governor at the oath ceremony. But I gave the T mantra to the people of Puducherry, saying, I shall remain trustworthy, I shall empower you, and I shall remain accountable. You remain accountable to law and you feel empowered by, that will be your removal of poverty when you participate in the rule of law, right? And you remain trustworthy. If we remain trustworthy, empowered and accountable, Puducherry would be a model. What we lost out on had the political class not come in the way and not unnecessarily been hostile. We could have offered the model to the world of what a collaborative government, that's what Indira Nooyi said. It's a blueprint of good governance. Indira Nooyi released my book and she said, it's a blueprint for good governance. The leadership practices which have been given in the fearless governance cut across private and public sector. That's what she said in the book release. Coming out of her means hell of a lot. And she read the book when she released my book. So that's what I said. I have not done it for legacy. I've only done it. It was my duty to fulfill. I have looked at karma. I'm a believer in the karma yogi concept. I believed in doing my karma, and for me, work is worship. For me, work is worship. Exactly the way for my mother, bringing us up was worship. For her, work is worship. For me, work has been worship, and trusting that it should remain till the last day of my breath.
Oh, that's beautiful, ma'am. As our generation calls it, this has been one wholesome episode. You know, it's a very feel-good episode. And I have to ask you sort of I don't know if it's a feel-good question or a deep question to end this particular one, but it's something I truly wish to ask you. Are you happy at this stage in life? And what is happiness for you?
Today, after a long time, I'm my self-master of my own time. And it's a very fulfilling. I spend my own time reading. I'm doing exactly what I'm looking for. And I've just finished writing the book. Actually, right now we are discussing the book. So it's still not given me that whole time to myself. The book, I've released the book only a few weeks ago. So now at the moment, it's a follow-up of the book. Lot of webinars on the grooming of leadership. I think it still takes time for this to settle. But once it does, I do not know what comes ahead. But I'm there to see that my every day remains a day of accomplishment, where I get a sense of fulfillment. I owe this to my country, I owe this to my service, and I owe it to my family.
No, Dr. Kiran Bedi, ma'am, thank you. I know we're not supposed to talk about legacy and we're talking about being a karma yogi, but for me, considering where we are in the world of content, I feel that your content legacy has just begun. The more podcasts that you appear on, of course, selfishly, I want you to be on our show again, but generally, the more podcasts that you appear on, the more nectar you can give out to India, I feel, in the long term, both in Hindi and in English. So, I'm no one to encourage you to do anything, but I would gently nudge you towards this world of podcasting, ma'am, because there's a lot of questions that the youth has generally for thought leaders, for people who've been in positions of power. And I feel you're someone who has a lot of experience. So honestly, of course, I encourage the listeners to check out the book. They'll purchase the book. We'll link it down below. But I would encourage you to just be out there even more on the internet because you have that much to offer, ma'am.